roses, and she fulfilled the promise the day after she died.
What happened was Thomas and I flew out the next morning to Amsterdam, and that following night, this would have been about 24 hours exactly after the event, a man brushed by us on the street. He had roses flung over his shoulder. I've never seen anybody with so many. There must have been like 10 dozen roses, at least, over his shoulder. And he brushed by and hit us as he went by. And Thomas said, there she is, you know.
So, dear George, to meet somebody with roses in the Netherlands is not so extreme, because we are ready them to export them to the whole world. Apart from that, you went there, and she wanted that you was there. Okay, I can understand that. Did you help her? That's the question, of course.
We practiced.
It's a very, very easy fact to me that you will be prosecuted because you did something what's not allowed in Ireland, and what's not allowed in the Netherlands, and what's not allowed all over the world. And now you are in troubles, and maybe God can help you.
Well, maybe so.
It is his task as a reverend to help people. Well, of course, that's a good idea. The difference is that I'm a doctor and he is a layman, a reverend, and that, for instance, in the Netherlands, euthanasia only can be done by doctors, because they can control what's going on, they can control the diagnosis, they know what the alternatives are, and he cannot know.
I think I did a very kind, compassionate, loving thing for this woman, as I feel I've done for everybody I've helped. And maybe Dr. Admiral doesn't feel that way, but I do.
Well, of course, I support you emotionally, so don't say that I don't support or don't understand you. I only don't understand why you went to Ireland with his laws. What I know from Ireland is that every Wednesday you will have whiskey over there in prison, so... He's a stupid man, in my opinion. He's too good for this world. And there is another aspect.
Dr. Admiral says he doesn't want us to use this part, but then later he changes his mind and says we can.
In my opinion, I've observing him now for a long time, and I have asked our psychiatrist to observe him. He is, in my opinion, enjoying the death of another one. And that's a dangerous situation in his mind. And I have the strong impression all these years that he wants to be there. He wants to see something dying. Well, he cannot help that. It's his character. It's a kind of phobia to enjoy death. And that's why he says, I will commit suicide, because he wants to die then at that moment. He's not afraid for dying.
Later, Dr. Admiral says he doesn't mean George derives psychopathic pleasure from being around death. Instead, he thinks George is too in love with the afterlife. He believes in it too much, and the pleasure he gets is from clapping and cheering his clients to this better place. I hope the doctor was being over-dramatic when he said George enjoys being around death, because back at Pam's house, I'd let him use my mobile phone to call her, which suddenly seems a bit aiding and abetting to me. I'm beginning to panic.
Do you have your cell phone with you? Let's try dialing this number. I'm at your front door. All right, we'll see you shortly. Bye-bye.
This is George's day job. He's a Unitarian pastor in Beckley, West Virginia. He doesn't have much of a congregation. It's not his fault. Beckley is a conservative town, and Unitarians are so liberal they allow openly gay pastors like George. He says his suicide work is far more important to him than his congregation.
I don't think I've done anything as important as this in my ministry. I think it's the reason I'm placed on this planet.
Now the Irish police have made good on their promise. They formally instigated extradition proceedings against him. They've asked the FBI to arrest him.
The Reverend George Exu and his assistant Thomas McGurran arrived at the federal courthouse in Beckley on foot of a subpoena. At today's hearing requested by the Irish authorities, both Exu and McGurran decided to remain silent.
Back home, and George's partner Thomas offers to show me the bottle of poison they've got hidden in their fridge.
Looks like a bottle of water.
What if someone comes into the house and wants some water?
It hasn't happened. This is a bottle of, it's in a Legend Airlines bottle. Do you want to taste it?
When I die?
No, it has a terrible taste, so...
How much of that would you have to drink?
The whole bottle.
And then you die?
Yeah, if you can keep it down. I can't get it top off. Oh, well, you don't really want to taste it.
I can't open it. If the FBI come and you rush into the kitchen to drink it...
That was the idea.
Well, you'll never get it open.
I didn't realize that.
Many times during my months with George and Thomas, they've seemed invigorated about the idea of death. How did they get this way? And where will it end? George Exo is a church minister who helps non-terminally ill people commit suicide. I've noticed that George often seems invigorated by the idea of death, especially after watching the documentary Life After Life, in which people describe their near-death experiences. He gives it to all his clients.
I was talking on the phone, holding the telephone like this. The lightning came down the phone line, entered my neck. Then all of a sudden, I heard this statement: "He's gone, he's gone." And it was the paramedic making that statement to the driver. I could see a tunnel. Then I began to whisk down it. And I was happy, truly happy, to be away from that body.
It gives people something to look forward to. You are going to have a great adventure. I can't tell you what everything is that's waiting for you, but these are some clues we've gotten from people who have died and come back, and this is what has been reported, and this is a great adventure. Look forward to it.
Life After Life is a big part of George's ministry. My guess is that some of his clients must feel more excited about killing themselves after watching it, so I decide to meet one of the people in it. Daniel Brinkley says he was dead for 28 minutes after being struck by lightning here in Aiken, South Carolina. He says he went to a cathedral of light and met angels, and then he woke up in the hospital morgue. I have an appointment to see Daniel, but first I meet a local journalist, Carl Langley, who was with him the day after he was struck by lightning.
In September of '75, I got a call and said that Danny Brinkley said he'd been hit by lightning. I went down to visit with him, and he said he was dead for 5 minutes, you know.
Well, now he says 28 minutes.
28 minutes? Good for him. That's all I got to say about that.
He says he woke up in the morgue.
Woke up in the morgue? I never heard that story.
Carl says the Augusta Library should have a copy of the article he wrote the day after Daniel was hit by lightning. It should prove whether Daniel has exaggerated over the years the number of minutes he was dead, from 5 to 28.
Phone call almost cost him his life.
Have you found it?
Right there, that's his wife, that's him right there. Frantically, Mrs. Brinkley began pounding away on her husband.